On today's show, we have lingering thoughts from Week 6, we have AP poll reaction and the Verballer Top 12, and we're looking ahead to Oregon, Indiana, Mizzou, Alabama, and more. Don't forget to subscribe. It just helps us so much.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, welcome back to the Solid Verbal. My name is Ty Hildenbrandt. Welcome back, Verballerhood. Thank you so much for downloading, for listening, for supporting. We are now through officially 6 weeks of the college football season. We thought last week would be kind of quiet. Didn't end up being quiet at all. On today's episode, we're going to start looking ahead into Week 7, which, Dan, I did the advanced look ahead. It looks like a friggin' banger. So get your affairs in order. Sure, you're ready to go. Week 7 looks pretty damn good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited for Week 7. I'm very excited for every single week. This is the particular part of, I say this is the particular part of the season. It's the entire season, really, where you really get the chirping of fans who say, why is this team number 5? Why is this team number 11? Why is this team number 17? Who is this team beaten? What has this team done? And there's no pleasing anybody, which is great, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Once you realize that you're not going to make anybody happy, if no matter who you are, then you're free to really just go for it when talking about college football. Nobody's good. Nobody's beaten anybody. Nobody's bad. Nobody's done anything. It's great, Ty, and I really am feeling it for whatever particular reason as we enter to Week 7. Let's roll.
I would be curious to know, among other people who do what we do or something similar, if they have also noticed that the tenor of the comments has changed.
Sure.
Very quickly, like overnight. Once we got into Week 5, and certainly now after Week 6, a lot more fire in some of these comments, Dan, as people are starting to look ahead, starting to really be in their feels with what's going on with their respective teams. We will get into that to some extent here over the next 45 minutes to an hour or so.
The one thing they can agree upon, to be clear, is that it is ODU's time. Is
the
that
Monarchs.
It is all
Fear the
Monarchs all the time. Ricky Ronnie's dudes are rolling and ready to explode. I think we can all agree. It's ODU, it's Harvard, it's possibly San Diego State, and Ohio State will win it all. Beyond that, everybody's on the same page with those things. But beyond that, it's get what you can.
Well, welcome back in. Welcome one and all. Hit follow, hit subscribe so that you don't miss any of the episodes. If you are watching this or listening to this in a place where you can leave a comment, we, of course, encourage that. It helps push our stuff out to more people. So please do leave a comment with your thoughts. We would greatly appreciate that. Of course, Verballers.com is where you can go if you want to get these episodes without the ads, get access to all the other bonus perks, and I guess the deep satisfaction of knowing that you are supporting what Dan and I do, helping us keep these bright lights on throughout the course of the college football season. So on today's episode, we're going to talk through the latest in AP polls, in Verballer Top 12 polls. We're also going to go through 3 big previews in advance of Week 7, as we've called them here, the early bird specials. We're going to have Ohio State, Illinois on the table. We're going to have Alabama, Mizzou on the table. And of course, we're going to have the Indiana Hoosiers against your Oregon Ducks on the table as well, a little bit deeper on into this episode. Mr. Rubenstein, before we dive into all of that, though, this is sort of our quiet moment of reflection.
Oh, yeah.
Gives us an opportunity to maybe give voice to things that we didn't have a chance to scream out at the top of the mountaintop when we did our Saturday night at midnight live stream.
Yeah.
Now that you've had about 48 hours to process, what's on your mind?
I loved Houston's uniforms, their Oilers uniform. I thought that was great. I don't know what to call this segment. It's sort of like an opinion dump of everything that is lingering. So I just came up with Dan's major dump. I don't know if that's
Dan's big dump. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we also have the big dumper is shining in Major League Baseball. So you're the dump, Ty. You're the dump. What are my thoughts? Texas Tech. I didn't watch a ton of Big 12. I came away really impressed with Texas Tech's defense. And that's all to say Houston had a quarterback change because of Connor Wigman injury, and Deion Chris is not going to be that guy to beat an excellent team, we don't think, but we'll see what Houston is moving forward. But I really liked what I saw from Texas Tech's defense. I thought they played especially on the road, especially now that Texas Tech is sort of a marked team. I thought they played with a good amount of fervor. Would that be an appropriate word? I don't know.
Great word.
Thank you very much. So that was something I came away impressed with. Colorado games are crazy entertaining. Colorado turned Georgia Tech over to start the season 15 times in the first quarter and couldn't take advantage. Whereas Colorado threw, or Caden Salter specifically, threw a bunch of interceptions, three interceptions, one of which was right before the half in the TCU end zone. So there was essentially a 21-point potential swing of points in this game, and Colorado was driving to tie this late. And so Colorado, in a lot of different ways, is quietly improved. Like, I think their pass protection's a little bit better. They ran the ball pretty well against TCU. And TCU didn't have an incredible game. They just picked up what fell off the opportunity truck against Colorado. And so I thought Josh Hoover made plays. They did quality things, but that was a winnable game for Colorado that they blew on the road in a winnable spot. So an entertaining game. Speaking of which, you mentioned this, and you had seen more of it than I did in the Big 12, the Kansas State-Baylor game.
Yeah.
There is a case to be made that Baylor is playing the most entertaining schedule of 2025.
I don't know
if Baylor fans love that reality.
No.
But week in and week out, whether it's the ASU game, whether it was that Auburn game early on, SMU, now, of course, the Kansas State game, you talk about the coat. This is a cardiac bear situation.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I can't believe the very specific way. And it wasn't just the pick six. It was a bad pick six. It was a bad Avery Johnson throw. But there was a touchdown-saving helmet ripped off the head. A Jace Brown long catch had his helmet ripped off as he was cutting and making a move to score an open field touchdown that was called back because of the penalty that I don't think can be declined. Right. So that would have been a game-winning touchdown. And then Kansas State had the ball near the end zone with under 2 minutes left. It was after the 2-minute timeout, and started throwing it and basically saved Baylor from taking timeouts and gave the ball back when they couldn't punch it in and had to settle for a field goal. The manner in which Kansas State blew this game was atrocious.
Oh,
was
my God.
Really, really bad. And so some of it their fault, some of it not their fault. But the Big 12 is playing incredibly entertaining football this year. And we knew it was going to be chaos. We knew it was going to be any given week, but they are living up to it and more. So I was thrilled with that entertainment factor. I went back and watched Mississippi State, Texas A&M. I'm super encouraged by Mississippi State. They don't have the depth to play 4 quarters against, I think, really good teams. And look, I say that in the wake of them taking Tennessee to overtime. But I liked how they ran the ball. I liked the energy with which they played. Texas A&M is better. They still have their own red zone issues, it seems. But they ran the ball really well. And I like that. I like how confident Marcel Reed is in himself, whether or not it's deserved or not. Because I kind of think you need to have that if you're Marcel Reed, right?
You absolutely need to feel like you are the dude.
Right. And he has not ascended to what he will be yet, but he is positive he has. And I appreciate that. I am a big fan of the entertainment factor of Texas A&M as well, and also encouraged by what Mississippi State has done. Some real big questions about Washington on the road right now after watching them against Maryland. Came away very impressed with Maryland for the most part. There was a dropped, I think it was a slot fade from Maryland that basically would have given them a go-ahead situation and probably a game-winning, set up a game-winning touchdown, if not scored a game-winning touchdown. And look, nobody's perfect. Nobody is 100%. But that was a bummer to see if you're a Maryland fan, I'm sure, as I'm saying this on Monday, and you'll probably hear it on Tuesday. And then on the flip side, Washington just kind of woke up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I was going to say Washington, the questions are not unfounded. Washington on the road. But the way they came back in that game late, I think, is commendable.
Yes. And it does seem like they made some adjustments on offense. It does seem like they need to build more of the plan out of Jonah Coleman. It does seem like they need to figure out how they want to use Damon Williams a little bit better because he's not a big dude. And so just having him try to explore a pocket at his size, I don't think is a great long-term plan for Washington's goals. So I want to see what they're able to do in how Jed Fish and Damon Williams work together to figure out that offense, because his talent is unquestionable. He's very, very good. He's just not a big dude. And so curious to see how creative they can get, because they have skill position guys. I don't think they're anything right now beyond like an 8-ish win program, but they seem to be recruiting well. And if they can figure out their road issues and some red zone issues, they need to get healthier for sure, as do many, many teams. But that was very encouraging, because you could argue that Washington was one of the three best clunkers won situation at Maryland this past weekend. Otherwise, no, we can talk about teams under the radar in a moment. I wonder if there was anything lingering for you.
Well, I mean, I mentioned it a little bit on the episode that we did on Saturday night, and I have been marinating this thought for a while, but I really think Michigan is flying under the radar.
Okay.
Right now. I really, truly feel like Michigan is flying under the radar. They are not a perfect product by any stretch. Bryce Underwood is still young. We still see some of those growing pains that you have with any true freshman quarterback.
Certainly.
They're running the hell out of the ball. I think they've got a real opportunity, especially if they beat USC this weekend. If they beat USC this weekend, there are obvious landmines on the schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah.
But I think there is a pretty clear path to getting to that Ohio State game at the end of the year, which, by the way, is in Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
And that being a play-in game for the Big Ten title, which is almost mind-blowing to an extent, because it's a true freshman quarterback, and there's a lot of turnover on this Michigan team from a year ago, and there's just like a lot new. They were without their coach for a couple games, right? Everyone's been talking about all these other schools, but Michigan very quietly is just sort of there. Keep your eye on Michigan. Keep your eye on the Michigan Wolverines, because I think there is a legit chance that they become much more of a factor in the Big Ten conversation the deeper we get into this thing, especially now with Penn State kind of falling flat.
Right.
We're going to see Indiana. I won't give away the game too much, but Indiana on the road, tough spot this week against Oregon. There are going to be other situations around the Big Ten that end up breaking. And I think a lot of that could play in favor of Michigan. So just commit that to memory. It's only going to be week 7. We got a long way to go, but I'm looking at this from afar and it's like, all right. Very quietly.
Okay.
Keep your eye
Interesting enough. There's a lot there to like about Michigan. There's still like everybody's a rolled ankle away from a backup quarterback, but they're a rolled ankle away from, I think, Jake Garcia playing quarterback. So
right.
That's a little bit different when he doesn't offer athletically what Bryce Underwood does, when there is an inconsistent, at best, passing game, though hopefully becomes more consistent. And Donovan McCulley's sort of emergence this past week against Wisconsin is something that continues for the Maize and Blue. One other game, by the way, just speaking of yellowish and blue, the first quarter and game plan, I guess it's Brian Harson's offense at Cal, of JKS, speaking of like confidence that like I'm a fully formed Heisman caliber quarterback. JKS isn't that yet. He obviously has a pretty interesting ceiling. Jaron Kiave, then you can take that last one to
Songapulatele.
What he does in terms of coming out, and this was against Duke, coming out and just rifling it downfield. There is no part, like the part of his brain that says maybe check it down here doesn't exist. It's just never formed. Whatever cortex that forms in was never formed. All he wants to do is take shots, and that's intermediate stuff up the seam, that's downfield up the sideline. I love the brazen, I don't care what the defense is in. I have my heart set on this, receiver who should be relatively opened. It went terribly after that first quarter. He ended up throwing 3 picks, bad ones into double coverage. Like, it wasn't pretty after that. But the raw materials are there for him to be, whether it's for Cal, whether it's for anybody else, because I saw Ron Rivera mention, like, this is Cal. Why would anybody leave? And I'm like, well,
we'll get back to you, Ron. We got a few ideas.
Wherever he is, hopefully for Cal, it's at Cal. Whatever he can form into, if he is, locked in on his development and the coaching staff is consistent or whoever's coaching there, his ceiling is unbelievable. Like, I don't have a comp for him, but the ball just shoots off of his hands. Maybe I'm just biased because I love a good lefty quarterback, but whatever his offenses look like roster-wise, whatever it looks like offensive coordinator-wise, Like, with the way he comes out, and then you compare him against other true freshmen who are coached more conservatively, coached to like take what the defense is giving you, JKS just grabs. And so, again, pure entertainment. And this game turned around pretty quickly with the turnovers and Duke figuring things out. And Duke has quietly gotten a lot better since that Tulane game. Man, he is worth staying up for, because at some point you're going to wake up and be like, he had 504 yards passing at 2 a.m. Like, he is single-handedly keeping Pac-12 After Dark in whatever conference Cal is currently in alive. And I'm grateful for it.
By the way, speaking of Duke, do you know that if the ACC season were to play out exactly according to projections right now, the favored team wins every game, which we know is not going to happen. This is all very premature, right? And it's certainly not this conference. That's just not what the ACC is about. But at this moment, if it all plays out exactly according to projections, your ACC championship game would be Miami against Duke via tiebreaker. Duke would have a tiebreaker over UVA. I believe Duke would be favored.
What a revenge spot. Manny Diaz in a huge spot against Miami. Woo!
I'm just saying. There are a bunch of conferences now, and again, you look at tiebreakers this early on, you tend to get some very weird results. It should surprise nobody that the same is true over in the Big 12, where you could quite literally have 10 teams right now that are bunched and all have a legit shot of getting into that top 2 and playing for a conference championship. Right now, Texas Tech, I think, is the inside track, but you mentioned Baylor earlier. You can make a case for Baylor in conference being anything from like 8-1 all the way down to 4-5.
Sure.
Right. So there's just a lot of variability with respect to that. And I think this dovetails into my only other point before we move on here. And that is not just with the results that we saw this past weekend, with, I think, some of the news that we have seen come out around college football, and with some of the results that are to follow. Let me just again underscore the point. This is going to be a very, very active coaching carousel cycle.
Yeah.
We didn't see it as much a year ago. Okay. That was a bit of an anomaly. But the way things are trending right now, whether it's guys getting let go, getting bought out, not getting renewed, guys going elsewhere, this figures to be one of the more active cycles we have seen in a good long time. Truly, Dan, and you know this as well as I, and anybody who is in this line of work understands this all too well. One of those deals where it's a Sunday in November, you and I are sort of on call.
Sure.
Because if the bat signal goes up and we got to hop on and record sort of an emergency whatever, because Bill Belichick decides he doesn't want to coach at North Carolina anymore, or James Franklin decides he wants to leave Penn State, or any number of oddball situations that I think are becoming more and more realistic, that tends to crush all in the month of November, early part of December. It's going to be a very, very active, like 2-week, 3-week cycle immediately following the season. And I just want people to be on guard for that. So, because it's going to happen. Just keep yourself in the right frame of mind. Have a go bag ready in case you need it, because we are trending in that direction. And I have a high level of confidence that we're going to end.
Are you mentally prepared and engaged enough for when James Franklin turns this season around for Penn State and takes the New York Giants job? Is that something that you are ready for? Do you have the stomach? Are you going to need to take some charcoal pills to make sure your stomach is lined for that moment?
I would need to have earplugs to combat the phone call, the inevitable phone call I would get from Uncle Joe Colarusso about the Giants bringing on James Franklin. No, that will not happen. It may happen that Franklin takes another job, because he will have opportunities out there. I have to imagine there would be a bunch of places that would sign up for James Franklin. Maybe UNC will be open. Who the hell knows? They're not playing very well. But I just think a lot of motion in the coaching world is to follow. I'm not going to sit here and talk specifics. It's way too premature for that. But the writing is on the wall, everybody, that this is going to happen once we get, again, latter stages of November, early part of December. Just be ready. Write in solidverbal@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts if you have any leftover thoughts after what we saw in week 6. We do have a Reballer top 12 poll, as well as the AP top 25 poll that we're going to get into here in just a minute. Do you have any other thoughts, Dan, based on what you saw before we let the fine people go? And we
I don't think
on?
so, but I'm happy to, if you have any questions, if you have any comments about who we should talk about more, maybe that Thursday bonus show would be a great place to do it on verballers.com.
That would be great. We did one on Vandy a couple weeks ago.
Georgia Tech there. Yeah.
And Georgia Tech. We had a bunch of other suggestions from our premium verballers. My thought was that we would pick 2 off the vine, but if anybody else has suggestions, open to it as always, verballers.com. Let's reveal that Verballer top 12 poll, shall we? Got a new one out here. We got a lot of movement. What's interesting about this poll, and I will talk about the inferior AP poll in a second, okay? What we're seeing is a lot of indecision over who the top team is right now. In our poll especially, we've got a pretty good cluster of Ohio State. Ohio State is 1, Miami at 2, and your Oregon Ducks at 3. Yeah. Seen a little bit of movement in that top 3 over the last couple weeks, not because any of these teams is doing anything wrong. I think Oregon was docked a few notches because of what went down with Penn State.
Okay.
And I want to talk to you about this.
We've got some simple-minded voters, Ty, as does everybody. Continue.
I want to talk to you more about this once we get into the Indiana-Oregon preview. Because there is a question of perception now after what went down with Penn State. But alas, your top 3 in our poll, Ohio State, Miami, Oregon.
Yeah.
Then we've got a secondary cluster after that. Texas A&M at 4, Ole Miss at 5, Indiana at 6. After that, it rounds out Alabama 7, Oklahoma 8, Texas Tech 9, Georgia, Georgia Tech, and Mizzou to round out our top 12. Nice to see Mizzou getting into that top 12 in advance of their big matchup this week against Alabama. Any thoughts on what you see in the Verballer poll?
I understand why Miami has moved up. It's an impressive win. We don't fully know what Florida State is or is not, but Florida State's on a losing streak now. And so,
yes,
you know, if you're going to discount what Florida State is, then I guess you have to discount what Miami did, which I think is foolish. But Miami is really, really, really good. And I thought the Florida State defense came to play a good deal in that game. Gave up some big plays, of course, and that was the difference. But what Miami is on defense, I think, is leading the way right now, as much as I like Malachi Toney. I'm okay with Ohio State at 1. I mean, they've beaten everybody in front of them. Their defense is probably the best thing in the sport right now.
Their defense is playing at an almost impossibly good level.
Look, it's against a Texas offense that we've discounted after what they've done since. It's against Minnesota's offense. It's against a generally good, not great Washington offense, and they didn't allow points in the end zone to any of those teams, to Washington and Minnesota. I think Ohio State is a better team than Miami in this moment, but I don't have the resume that, you know, can fully back it up, where it seems that Miami with wins against a Florida team that's up and down, a Florida State team that now we consider up and down, a USF team that we think is a good for that conference type team. Like, Miami has proven it week in and week out too, so it's just a personal preference, and I think I would take the team that has that combination of offense and defense on a slightly higher level, in my opinion, in Ohio State. So I'm okay with that distinction there.
Yeah, I had voted Miami 1, I think mostly because of that resume. But clearly I understand the case for all of these teams. And it seems as though Verballers were out there making their case as well. Where we do have a little bit of disparity, as you might expect, is with the AP Top 25. The AP Top 25 saw some pretty big drops, as you might expect. Both Texas and Penn State drop from the top 10 fully out. They're now 2 and 3.
Which, fine. Yes. Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with it. I think you have to be. Certainly on the Penn State side, you lose the UCLA. You deserve that. There's no two ways about it. The Texas thing is probably a little bit of a different story, but Florida was unranked as well. So I understand it on that front. Vandy dropped 4 down to number 20. Iowa State, a pretty big drop, 8 all the way down to number 22. Florida State drops 7 by virtue of their loss to Miami. They're still in the top 25, but they are currently at number 25. There are a couple teams that are in the teens that slid up a couple slots.
Okay.
This is what tends to happen this time of year, right? Teams in front of you lose very gradually.
You got to rank 25, right? You got to get 25 teams in there, which means teams that you might think are like the 19th or 22nd best team, all of a sudden like 13, 11? Okay. But somebody's got to be there.
Just sliding these teams around on the board. Georgia Tech, Mizzou, the aforementioned Michigan Wolverines, Notre Dame, Illinois, BYU, UVA. These are teams that all benefited from those in front of them dropping.
Yes.
All of them went up about 4 or 5 slots. Notre Dame's up to like number 16 again.
Yeah.
It's like nothing ever happened, right? So there's a lot of football that's yet to be played. After this week, I guess, technically we will be halfway through the regular season. As we get a little bit deeper into this thing, more conference games are going to go down. A bunch of these teams in front of that grouping that I just mentioned of 6 or 7 teams, there will be losses. There will be opportunities for them to gradually improve their standing as well. But I don't have any harsh reactions to the AP poll. What I am feeling, though, is that there is a little bit more of a merging taking place between what we see on the AP side and what we're seeing on the Verballer side, just because teams are playing more games. Right. And it seemingly is getting a little bit clearer who deserves to be where.
I think there is a steep drop-off after 3 between Oregon and Ole Miss. I think there's another steep drop-off likely between Alabama and Texas Tech, Georgia, LSU in there. Just what Alabama looks like now. Going to Georgia and winning and finishing strong against Vanderbilt. You're right, though, about the team slipping into the teens. You're just like, LSU's the 11th best team in the country right now. And you're like, yes, they've beaten Florida and Clemson, and the offense hasn't looked all that great. They didn't look amazing, obviously, offensively against Ole Miss. We'll see what their health is on offense. There's a bunch of questions there. So I don't feel great about associating LSU as one of the 12 best teams in the country right now, but they certainly have a defense that would, withstand any argument. Otherwise, Illinois, I don't think would hang within 10, 14, 17 points of Notre Dame, who they're ranked right next to right now. I just have questions about Illinois' consistency on either side of the ball. And we're not handed the USC game, but that was an extremely losable game. And also you lose by 738 points to Indiana. I think you should probably fall a little bit lower than what your resume might say. Great with Virginia and Vandy where they are. I'm not positive why Iowa State is where they are and Cincinnati's not ranked. Yeah. I mean, if they're both one-loss...
The Cincinnati question is interesting.
If they're both one-loss teams and Cincinnati just did whatever they wanted and scored, I think, near 40 points against the Iowa State defense, I'm not sure the thinking there, especially as the Kansas State win hasn't aged especially well and they've played close against some other teams. I just, I'm not sure why we have Iowa State ranked in this moment. Great with Memphis being there. South Florida, fine. Florida State, fine. I think that's fine right around there, but I think we can watch Florida State on offense. And
since we didn't read off where those teams are at.
Oh, please do.
Some of the teams that you're referencing here, we've got Illinois at 17 in the AP poll. We've got South Florida at 24 in the AP poll, just a notch behind Memphis, who's at 23. Iowa State, as you said, still in the top 25 at number 22. Of the teams that we see in this AP top 25, which team is the most fool's gold right now?
The most fool's gold. It's a good question. There are teams on here where you're like, I haven't seen what BYU's done against a quality team. I haven't seen what like Mizzou has done against a legit team. We will see this weekend and we'll get there.
We will.
I don't think there's full fool's gold, but I'd love to see Florida State play well after week 1. I'd love to see that. I guess those are my teams just based on lack of opponent. So I have Illinois, BYU, Mizzou, and who else did I say?
Well, I'll throw another one in there.
Oh, please do.
LSU.
Yeah, LSU at 11. I mean, just they have a top 12 defense, but
they have a better defense. I'm still not sure we fully understand how good it is or isn't, but the offense has definitely been problematic.
When I say top 12, I don't mean the defense is top 12 in the country. I mean they have a defense that can boost them into a top 12 conversation.
LSU is a team that jumps out to me.
Yeah.
I like Texas Tech. I'm still not fully sold on Texas Tech top 10 team this season.
They've taken care of business, though.
Taking care of business.
They've
I want to see them play
like,
against better competition.
Yeah.
Texas Tech is a bit of a question for me. And I am still coming to grips with the whole Virginia thing.
Okay.
Like, I think Virginia is a really, really good story. And by any measure, what they have done right now is a huge coup for Tony Elliott.
Right.
I mean, it just is. It is already a wildly successful season for the Hoos. They're going to go to a bowl game. They're going to probably get pretty close to 9 wins. 8-9 wins, I think, is realistic.
Sure.
Where this team is at. The question, though, once you get into the top 20 is, can you sustain it?
Right.
And that is where I am not fully committed to the Hoos.
Okay. Yeah, I think at their best, they're good. But I don't think there is any one part of their team that you can point to as like, this is what's going to keep them in the top 20. Like, it's just going to be a roll. Like, some weeks you're going to win in overtime, some weeks you're going to lose. They've closed well the last couple weeks, obviously winning those games in overtime. But the sustainability for Virginia in this conversation, I think, is not great.
Write in solidverbal@gmail.com. Leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on the latest Verballer Top 12 poll, AP Top 25 poll. Of course, you can vote in our poll by going on out to our Patreon at verballers.com, or you can go to patreon.com/solidverbal. Either or will get you to the same spot. If you sign up as a certified or premium Verballer, you can vote every week. We drop this poll bright and early every Sunday morning. On occasion, we also give out free ballots to people who are interested. If you just sign up as a free member, you want to dip your toe in, find out what the Verballerhood is all about out on Patreon. Yes, you can sign up as a free member. On occasion, we'll throw you a ballot, especially on the big weeks when we've got a lot going on. We did it last week. We wanted to get more in there. I've been giving out some free ballots on social media, people who respond to me as well. So make sure you're tuned into all things Solid Verbal. Dan and I, whatever platforms you're on, we like to try and spread the wealth here and introduce some new folks into the fold when it comes to voting in this poll.
Agree.
Let's preview some games, Dan.
Let's.
Early bird special.
It is a banger of a week 7.
Yeah.
Typically the way we put this document together, and by the document, I mean basically the backbone for all of the episodes we do.
Mm-hmm.
We look at the schedule. We pick out 2 or 3 of the biggest games. Last week we had 2. A couple other weeks we've had 3. This is definitely a triple header on the episode today. We've got 3 games to discuss. We've got Ohio State, Illinois. We've also got Alabama on the road at Mizzou. We've got Indiana on the road at your Oregon Ducks.
Yeah.
Start at the very top, though. High noon on Fox. It's the big noon game.
Mm-hmm.
It is an interesting rivalry. Did you know that this is a rivalry?
The Illabuck?
Ohio State and Illinois. Yes, the Illabuck rivalry.
Yeah.
The winner of this game receives a carved wooden turtle named Illabuck.
Yeah.
Originally, it was a live turtle that they picked to signify the expected long life of the rivalry.
Okay, I appreciate that.
The turtle died.
Oh, well. Circle of life.
And so now we've got this wooden figurine. You can go look it up. Pleasant enough. I like a good turtle.
Yep.
You pro turtle?
Pro turtle, absolutely.
Wooden trophy. And the other thing that I would add as part of this rivalry, at least in the early years, is that at halftime, the junior honorary societies from both schools used to go out there and smoke a peace pipe.
Whoa, okay.
They no longer do that. My guess is the tradition is alive and well somewhere in the parking lot if you're interested in peace pipes. But alas, Ohio State on the road, minus 14.5 points against the Illinois Fighting Illini, Dan. I have a couple mind-bending stats from the Office of the Solid Verbal Research Department.
Please.
Through 5 games, Ohio State's defense is allowing an average of 5 points per game. They have not allowed a touchdown since week 3, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. I need your help. We need to come up with a nickname for Caden Curry and Caden McDonald, the two defensive tackles for Ohio State, who have been awesome. They had like 18 tackles, 8 for loss, 5 sacks.
So the double Caden situation?
It's a double Caden situation. I am not creative enough to come up with a nickname. The best I could do was Caden Crush, and I don't like that.
And wouldn't they be tackling Caden Fegan?
Oh, wow. There's a three Caden situation going on here.
Yeah. It's a tricade. Yeah.
The tricade?
The arcade? I don't know.
The arcade's not bad.
Arcade's not bad because you also have Arvell Reese.
The arcade. It's the arcade.
The trifecta. The triumvirate. Yeah.
Their defense is putting up arcade numbers.
True.
On offense, we've got some arcade numbers as well. Julian Sayin has completed over 80% of his passes so far this season. And despite all the talk about Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate averaging over 18 yards per catch. No drops on the season. He leads the team with 18.1 yards per reception. This is a very, very good Ohio State team, both on offense and on defense. Let me say this. I am definitely prone to overthinking matchups like this. I don't often ride on the Underthink Express. That's part of my problem.
Mm-hmm.
It is very difficult to build a case for Illinois here.
I agree.
I think there's a pretty good chance they end up getting drilled.
Agree.
To their credit, they're 5-1 against the spread this year. Okay, so they're, Vegas is still trying to figure out Illinois. Can you build a realistic case for Illinois in this game?
If we're talking about straight up and without injury, not really. How many players in Illinois starting 22 would start for Ohio State? Gabe Akis? Maybe?
No, not many.
There's not a ton, especially with some of the injuries on Illinois' front that we haven't been able to see what they could be fully realized on defense. But, I like Illinois players on both sides of the ball.
I think Illinois is solid. I like Illinois as a team. But what I keep getting hung up on is the best case I can make for them in this game is winning the turnover margin, getting short fields, playing at a slower pace to keep Ohio State off the field. And that's a formula that requires about 80% good luck.
Right.
And if we're going to sit here on this show and try to be logical with who we're predicting and why, I can't base the whole thing around luck. I just can't do it.
The best of Texas's defense in week 1 held Ohio State to 14 points. Texas has a number of All-American caliber guys on that defense, especially linebacker, edge. They look terrific at their best.
Sure.
And they held Ohio State to 14 points. Illinois is not near there in terms of talent. Games at Illinois, which is nice, you're going to need to just bleed so much of Ohio State clock, right? You're going to need to sort of convert every 3rd and short, 4th and short. You're going to have to go for it on 4th and short, like kind of deepish in your own territory. You're going to have to take those kinds of chances to keep the Ohio State defense on the field. And even then, it's not a formula. Like to drive down the field and take 15, 17, 19 plays against Ohio State's defense, that's not allowing anything. And the best thing you do if you're Illinois is throw the ball. You're going to Hank Beatty your way to beating Ohio State. All due respect to Hank Beatty, who is good.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't feel like a competitive formula right now. And so better that this game is at home than away, as we saw what Illinois did or didn't really do in Bloomington. No, I mean, it's short of an injury, right? If Julian Sayin goes down or something like
even
that.
Even
then. We never want to happen, but no. I mean, it's at noon. Yeah, you could get a sleepy Ohio State for a quarter and a half, something like that. You could have like a reasonable looking halftime score. You could have a halftime score of 17-7 and be like, oh, interesting. Okay, there's something there. It's not going to be interesting. I don't think this has 35-10 written all over it.
I've got 37-14. Maybe we've been doing this too long and we finish each other's sentences, but I'm with you. Like the offense runs through Luke Altmaier on the Illinois side. They're not particularly efficient on the ground. Almost all their pop comes through the air. I like the Altmaier to Hank Beatty connection. I do. Yeah. He had a great game a week ago. You just need more options if you're going to beat Ohio State. If you want to mount a serious charge against the Buckeyes, you need more. I think they can move the ball to some extent between the 20s. But if they get into the red zone, one of the issues we've seen with Illinois this year, too many field goals, not enough touchdowns. And especially on the Ohio State side, they're not allowing any touchdowns, right?
Right.
So that's a trend that Illinois would need to reverse pretty quickly if they want to have a fighting chance here against Ohio State, because field goals aren't going to beat the Buckeyes.
Right.
I'm just not seeing that. The Ohio State defense has been nails.
Yeah.
And then, like, the other side of this is not to be overshadowed, the Ohio State offense.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about the playmakers on offense. We know how good they are. We know how efficient they've been. The quiet engine for this offense has been an offensive line that has been really good this year.
Yeah.
They've been really good at protecting Julian Sayin. In general, they have done a really good job of keeping the offense on the field. The game plan early against Washington was probably a tell for what we're going to see early in this game because they just kept running it. They ran it 5 of their 6 opening plays. They wanted to get going on the ground. They wanted to take some pressure off of the young quarterback. They did get stopped on that drive at Washington, by the way, down at like the 5-yard line. But I think if they can establish themselves out of the gate as the more physical team in the trenches, it's going to be a problem because eventually you're going to have to commit resources to that. And that's when they get you over the top with the passing game. Mm-hmm. And we know they have options out wide. I just think the margins here for Illinois are so slim. It is really tough for me to find the path. Not necessarily to cover. I mean, anybody can cover.
Right.
I think it's something like 37-14 Ohio State. I think they win going away.
Yeah. The saving grace, I guess, if you are hoping for a close Illinois game or an upset, is like this is the biggest game of the season in Champaign, right? This is your de facto Super Bowl. All due respect to USC, but that's not on the same level in the Midwest as Ohio State coming to town. And so you are going to have people from all, Illinois alums coming in from all over for this game, and it's going to be a frenzied atmosphere, but it's also at noon.
No.
Or it's actually really at 11 local, right? It's at 11 Central. So you're just not going to get the crowd whipped up in the same way that they would if it were, 2:30 local or 6:30 local, something like that. So that takes a little bit of the air out of things. It's a huge game, right? That there is that element of like Ohio State isn't a finished product. There's a lot new on both sides of the ball, full-time starter wise. But man, they went to Seattle and they just silenced them.
No.
Like, I don't think Minnesota's amazing, but Minnesota did nothing. PJ Fleck said like that was the best defense he had seen in 13 years in the Big Ten. And then you couple that with Illinois against the better defenses that they've played against the past couple years, Oregon, Penn State, obviously earlier this year, Indiana, and they are silenceable.
No.
And so it's hard to see them coming through for 4 quarters. Yeah, 35-10.
Speaking of games being played at 11 a.m. local time.
Yes.
We got Alabama, a 3.5-point road favorite on the road at Mizzou.
Yes.
12 Eastern, 11 Central. Mizzou has a rest advantage. They're coming off of a bye. Obviously, the early kickoff. I question whether there's a little bit of a look ahead here for Bama with the Tennessee rivalry on deck. We know that's a big deal.
I don't think there's a look ahead.
I'm just a marketplace of ideas, Dan Rubenstein.
Marketplace of ideas.
Just throwing some stuff out there. Want to see how it clicks.
I'm allowed to disagree with you. Yes.
Of course.
Mizzou is a top 15 team. I think they will have
absolutely, of course,
on the road.
The more important thing in this matchup is a very specific tendency. That is Mizzou running the football, which is a clear and obvious strength, and Alabama stopping the run, which they have not consistently been great at this season.
I agree.
We saw Vandy have a little bit of early success on the ground. That dried up. Alabama did get its act together. They weren't able to be as successful moving forward. But in the early part of that game, we saw it. I think Mizzou will be better at it.
And Mizzou is on a rest advantage.
Right.
They had last week off playing at home.
As I said, they're off the bye.
So I'm just saying as it relates to the run and the fresh legs. Yeah.
So Mizzou has been lurking. They have been lurking. They got the win a few weeks ago at home against South Carolina. We haven't really talked a whole lot about them otherwise because they haven't really played that difficult of a slate.
Right.
It's a physical team. They're very good at running with Ahmad Hardy. Ahmad Hardy, by the way, the transfer, leads the nation in rushing yards. I think he leads the SEC, in rushing touchdowns with 9.
Mm-hmm. He's over 700 yards for the year.
730.
Yeah.
They lead the nation as a team in time of possession. They lead the nation in terms of third down offense.
Yep.
They convert about 61% of the time.
Yep.
So there's a lot to like here on the Mizzou side.
Yeah.
Plus, then you layer in future Penn State quarterback Bo Prabula.
Yeah. You wish.
Who's been really solid. They haven't fully unleashed him on the ground yet, maybe because of, some questions about quarterback depth after Sam Horn went down.
Yeah.
I think it's a very, very compelling choice to go Mizzou here at home against Alabama because of that matchup. I really like that matchup.
You like the matchup of Mizzou being able to control the game on the ground.
I do.
Against the Alabama run defense.
I do. Now,
I think that number is characterized. I mean, it's a little bit of Thomas Castellanos, obviously the long run Cedric Alexander, but to your point, you did say this. They tightened up very clearly and significantly.
They did.
After some early struggles against Vandy on the ground. They ran the ball better, obviously, against Vandy than they had been running earlier in this season. So hopefully that's a continued step in that direction if you're an Alabama fan. The question, so this Mizzou checks off a lot of the boxes of they're playing at home, they're an underdog, the defense has performed. I think they're leading the nation in 3-and-outs forced. Yeah. The percentage of drives that end in a 3-and-out when Mizzou's defense is on the field leads the nation. It's also just a question of to what level do we believe in this year's Mizzou team based on essentially Kansas and South Carolina?
Well, and that's the thing. That's the important caveat because
I think quality teams, but not
sure.
We don't know what that brings out of Mizzou specifically.
Bama's going to be able to test Mizzou through the air, especially in a much different way. And no disrespect to what Mizzou has done so far. They've been very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But you and me and Ari Wasserman, we could stop the passing attack of UMass and UL Monroe.
Okay.
Monroe doesn't really even throw.
Oh, man, that was just disrespect because they played Lafayette. They just played Louisiana. Yeah.
This is obviously a very different animal on the Alabama side. And the same could be said for this defense as a whole. I don't know if they've really been tested against an offense like this. So might there be a little bit of culture shock? Might there be, a sudden jump up in competition that the Missouri defense is not prepared for? I think that's very realistic and a possibility here.
Yeah.
I just like that matchup on offense. I really like their running attack and the way that they play and how that, I think, sets them up for an advantage here at home against Alabama.
Okay, so if we can agree that Alabama is likely a much better throwing team this season than where they were last season.
Yes, for sure.
What Ty Simpson looks like right now is pretty pinpoint. Yeah. And for as fun as the Alabama offense could be at times last year, I don't think we could count on this being a Jalen Milroe dominating things through the air offense. Alabama beat Mizzou 34-0 last year. That was a Brady Cook injured, Drew Pine step-in situation, no Ahmad Hardy. It's different teams, different years. It's also 34-0. In Tuscaloosa, I think Alabama wins this game. I really do. I'm a Bama believer after last week. To do what they did last week in a letdown spot against Georgia. Now, this is 3 in a row. 3 tough games in a row for Bama. But I think I just believe in the talent right now. And as much as I like Ahmad Hardy and Kevin Coleman's been having a really nice year for Mizzou, Bo Prabula throwing into the teeth of the Alabama defense, I just need to believe it. I need to see it to believe it. And so I'm not there yet. I've been fooled by Mizzou before. I'm going to say Mizzou is a good team this year that will challenge to win double-digit games. I'm taking Bama here. I'm going 27-17 tied.
I'm going 26-21 Mizzou outright.
Wow. Okay.
And I do think Alabama's going to have success through the air. And it's not like they're going to get shut down and not move the football. I think this is going to be a really good football game, but I just think the play style benefits Mizzou. I really do. I think they'll be able to run it. I think they'll be able to control the clock. I love what they do on third downs. It will be a test for the defense. It is not the same as playing these other teams that they've beaten thus far. There is no question about that. Give me Mizzou, man. Give me Mizzou.
Okay, we disagree.
We do disagree. One more game.
Okay.
3:30 on CBS. College GameDay is going to be in town. Friend of the show, Jenny Dell and CBS will be in town.
Yeah.
It is a matchup of two top 10 teams that statistically, Dan, are very similar. Very similar so far. We also have two lunatic coaches, which is probably my favorite part of this matchup as a whole.
Yeah. Google me.
We've got Indiana on the road at your Oregon Ducks. Oregon favored by 7.5 at home. So look, I posted a screen grab out on Twitter of this week's games. And somebody responded by saying that this was a fake top 10 matchup. I'm assuming that's more of a dig at Indiana than Oregon. Okay. But alas, let me ask it to you this way.
Okay.
Tough overtime win for Oregon 2 weeks ago now on the road in Happy Valley. We were there.
Yes.
Since then, Penn State falls on its face, loses at UCLA a week ago. Now they've dropped out of the top 25. We talked about that a couple of minutes ago. Because of what we saw go down with Penn State last week, does that make you any less confident in the Oregon Ducks? Being so...
Yeah, Oregon out of the top 25.
No.
Yeah.
Being so that Oregon's signature win may have come against a team that, in reality, may not be that good.
Okay. Or you can add about 75 IQ points and say Oregon beat Penn State twice. It's your choice. It's anybody's choice. If you want to think
marketplace
that way.
of ideas, Dan. It's a marketplace of ideas.
Everybody has that opportunity to choose.
I know how I feel.
Sure.
I'm asking how you feel as an Oregon alum.
Yeah. Oregon beat Penn State twice. So, how do I feel? I don't discount that win at all. I was there. The environment was crazy. We're going to see a lot of those dudes on that Penn State defense get drafted. We're going to see Drew Aller start a stellar podcast in a few years. I just am of the mind that Oregon is really, really good, and they're playing at home with a week off. And I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is a fake top 10 matchup, because I think the best of Indiana can beat a lot of teams and win a lot of games. But I think Oregon is more solidified. I think this sport, more than basically many other sports, is such a talent thing, and I don't know which players. Like, Indiana's got a very good corner in Pons, but who's starting for this Oregon team? Like, who is legitimately starting? Like, I think their linebackers are good, but I just think Oregon is better at like 20 of 22
Did I see that Dante Moore's been sacked only once this year?
Dante Moore, I believe, has only been sacked once, and it was like a free rusher, like the right tackle. It was, I don't know if it was a miscommunication thing, but yes, it was a free rush against maybe Oklahoma State, something early. So I think Indiana's good. I just think Oregon's excellent, and I think Autson's a big deal. I think what Indiana hasn't done against basically all of the very much legit defenses that they faced, you go back last year and this year, they needed every second to beat Iowa on the road, and they needed Iowa's quarterback to get hurt and pick off Iowa's backup quarterback to seal things. I just think away from Bloomington, they are also like essentially traveling across the country. Indiana in this matchup. It's not like a body clock game in the same way that other Big Ten matchups are, but they are traveling. And so I just don't think they have it for 4 quarters against this Oregon team. I think there's just too much speed. I think Dante Moore is too good. I did not come all that impressed with Fernando Mendoza against Iowa. I think the best of him is excellent, but I think he's like 3rd tier national quarterback, not Heisman contender. And ready to eat my words if I'm wrong. Indiana's going to win a ton of games this year. I think Oregon's just clearly better. And so I have this as like 38-20 Ducks.
I've got 38-24 Ducks. We tend to agree.
Yeah.
And I also agree on the point that Indiana's legit.
Indiana's
it's not a
very
feel-good
good
story. They have a top 10 offense and defense so far. based on statistics.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want about Fernando Mendoza, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception. He has played very, very well. He's also played in Autzen before. He played as a true freshman when he was over with Cal. Could that help him here? Who knows? It's going to be loud. The Autzen Zoo is a thing. It's a tough place to play. And I tend to favor Oregon as well, but he's got that experience. I also like their defense. Their defense has been very opportunistic. They lead the nation in forcing interceptions. They rank 3rd in turnover margin. So this is a very good team. There's a lot to like about Indiana. I certainly think they have the talent to hang around for some period of time. I just don't think 4 quarters. And so the game that I am envisioning here is one that is sort of close for a while. And we are in pins and needles late in the 4th quarter, wondering if a late touchdown is going to come and give them a backdoor cover.
The number has come down, right? It opened double digits and it's come down to 7-8 points.
So I could see this one as 38-24. Indiana with the ball late. If they score, they're going to screw over a lot of bettors. We have seen situations like that on a couple occasions so far. In fact, Fernando Mendoza apologized to bettors 2 weeks ago because of what went down in their game against Iowa with the safety.
The safety. Yeah.
So, I am with you. I tend to agree that Oregon is just better across the board. And I think they will be able to assert their will at home in Autzen against a team in Indiana that is very, very good and very, very solid. But to the point, nobody on Indiana, almost to a man, is going to make that starting roster for Oregon. So 38-24 is my final. I'm ready to eat my words if I am wrong on this one, but I did see Oregon go into Penn State, which, say whatever you want about the Nittany Lions, but to win in that setting is mind-blowing. You can't imagine how loud it was there.
Yeah. And the only teams that are truly able to do that in those big games against Penn State are all of them. So
I see we've gotten now into our Penn State joke mode, which is fine. They lost to UCLA.
Hold on. Was that not a fact? I'm sorry. Does James Franklin win that game ever?
How dare you? How dare you disperse that?
I don't know.
James Franklin.
I'll go look back and see how many of those, top 10 matchups James Franklin.
You could send that one off to the Penn State or the Solid Verbal Research Department on Penn State, but
that's true. The crack staff. I think Oregon's better. I think they have the edge at quarterback. I think they have the edge at coordinators and coach. I think the fact that they're playing at Autzen Stadium, and once again, to bookend things, Indiana against these top playoff caliber teams, right? They scored 3 points last season until the final 2 minutes against Notre Dame. Was that what it was? They scored 20 points, I think 3 points in the second half against a Michigan team that had no offense last year. They won that game. Better to win those games than to lose, absolutely. Couldn't do much on offense, if at all, against Ohio State last year. And needed every second to get to the, whatever it was, 20 points, 17 points against Iowa this year on the road. I just think there's a ceiling. The ceiling is probably 10-2 and super impressive, but losing to teams who are able to match up better than most. And there's always been that Big Ten team. For a long time, that was Wisconsin. Maybe it was Penn State, taking care of business against the lesser and then just not quite being there against the top flight teams. But I don't know. I think Oregon has its act together. They're playing at home. I think there are too many weapons on this offense for Indiana to keep up with, and the playmakers on defense, I think, are going to give Oregon some short fields.
Man, if this point spread comes down to 7, if it goes down to 7, that's lock of the week territory right there.
Wow.
Which is bad news for you.
And game day is going to be there.
Very bad news for you.
I know.
If I can dispel that concern of a backdoor cover, I think they win by 2 scores. I feel pretty confident in that.
Okay. Yeah, let's be clear. Iowa was in position to win that game without a passing game 2 weeks ago. So,
some other very interesting Week 7 games. We're not going to preview these. Not going to preview them yet. There is hope for all of them on our upcoming Thursday episode, okay? On Friday night, a banger of a G6 game. South Florida on the road at North Texas. North Texas actually favored at time of recording.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a fun freaking game. We've also got at high noon on ESPN on Saturday, Pitt on the road at Florida State. How does Florida State deal after their loss? 3:30, we've got the Red River Shootout. Oklahoma at Texas, maybe taking on a little bit of a different field, but Texas still favored, Dan.
Yeah.
Iowa State at Colorado. Colorado is a 4-point home dog. That's interesting at 3:30. Nebraska at Maryland. Maryland with another shot. Try and take down a team that's traveling across a good chunk of the country. In the Nebraska sense, they're a 6-point home dog. TCU at K-State. Another one of these demolition derby style Big 12 games. K-State.
Did you say TCU at K-State?
TCU at K-State.
Oh my God. There is zero chance this is boring. There's absolutely zero chance.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I put it on the list.
No, you're absolutely able and within your right, and it's the right move.
Zero chance it is anything less than crazy entertaining. In the nightcap, we've got Florida at A&M. We've got Kansas at Texas Tech. We've got Michigan at USC. We've got Georgia at Auburn. We've got South Carolina at LSU. We've also got BYU at Arizona. A bunch of really freaking interesting games this week.
That's an amazing lineup. That is truly excellent.
And then at night, if you're really a sicko, at 10:15 Eastern time, it is Arizona State at Utah. I don't think super highly of Utah, but Utah's
I think you should. I think you should.
Tough place to play. I don't think either of these teams is super buttoned up, even though Arizona State feels to me like maybe they're starting to figure it out, but only a 5-point line in favor of Utah. Who's
Cal playing?
I do not have Cal on my sheet this week.
Okay. This week, Cal is playing nobody.
I believe they're on
bye. Man. Yeah, this is great. I sometimes like to make date night plans on Friday night with the missus.
Yeah.
This week might be a put the kids to bed. Just relax from a long, difficult week. Make some fried rice and don't move off the couch.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for USF North Texas.
I am as well. What I was going to say is I think the strat when it comes to wives, significant others on Friday night.
Sit down for Ty's marriage advice. Ty's marriage advice, : maybe it's good.
I think this is okay. This isn't anything controversial.
Okay.
But I think fried rice is the move. I think some sort of heavy food is the move because then perhaps you are promoting an early bedtime.
Oh, we always promote an early bedtime in this house.
So do I. We're all in our 40s at this point.
Yeah.
But my point is early bedtime, get the TV to yourself, could really hunker down and enjoy the second half of USF North Texas, which I think is going to be a banger.
You're out of your mind if you think I'm making it to the second half if I'm eating a giant bowl of kimchi fried rice or something.
Fair.
Out of your mind.
This is fair.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of these games. We don't have the Friday game on the Run the Board slate because Run the Board is always just for Saturday and beyond.
Yep.
But most of the other games here that I mentioned are going to be on a Run the Board slate. Each week you play for fabulous prizes. This week I think it's going to be even more of a fabulous prize, but stay tuned.
Whoa.
More to come on that front. Yeah. We gotta bring out the big guns for a week like week 7. This is a big freaking week of games. And week 8 isn't that much off the pace of week 7. Week 8 looks like a banger too. So just to do some advanced planning. I'm just saying, we're all in this together. Make sure you got your affairs in order because 7, 8, even 9, these weeks look like they're going to be crazy, man. It's going to get crazy. Things are going to start breaking. Chaos is going to start happening.
Oh, so I'm looking at week 8 right now. USC at Notre Dame.
Week 8's good too.
Okay. Yeah. Oregon at Rutgers. Oregon.
You want to come over for that one? Should we drive over?
I can't believe Oregon is doing 2 East Coast trips in 3.5 weeks. Okay. Thanks, Big Ten.
Ethan Kaliak-Manis, watch out.
It's true. All right. Big news going to Ann Arbor for Washington, Michigan. A 1991 banger.
Yeah. Don James anthology.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Again, for the last time, solidverbal@gmail.com is the email, but the most important thing you can do to support what Dan and I do is click follow, click subscribe, wherever it is you are consuming this here podcast episode. Leave a comment, leave a review, leave a star rating, anything you are willing to do on our behalf. Tell a friend. All of that stuff goes a really long way towards getting the Solid Verbal in front of more people and growing the footprint of the Verballer.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate that. Of course, verballers.com is where you can go if you want to further support us.
Yeah, Ty's got doggy toys to buy. He's got to keep his 2 fluffy bitches full of toys.
I'm showing this one now to the camera.
Yeah.
This is a duck with a tennis ball and a rope attached.
Uh-oh. Is that a
So
sign?
we got a little squish at the top. We've got a tennis ball in the middle. And we've got a rope. All three of the things that my youngest dog is most obsessed with on one toy.
Wow. Eating ducks. Go Hoosiers, I guess.
Go Hoosiers.
All right. Cool.
Thank you one and all for your ongoing support of the show. We will be back on Thursday to give you a full preview for all that is in store for us here in week 7. In the meantime, you know where to follow us. You know how to subscribe to us. Please do tell your friends about us. All of that good stuff. You're probably tired of hearing me say it. I won't say it anymore. For that guy over there, my good friend Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand, thank you again for everything. We'll talk to you soon. Stay solid.
Peace.